this time around, we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to try our hands at making an elderflower wine from dried elderflowers. Hi, I'm Charles and welcome to DIY Fermentation, your site for doing fermentation on a shoestring budget. Now, this is, of course, the first time on this channel that I've tried to make something out of a flower, albeit a dried flower, but nonetheless out of flowers. I've got a friend who likes elderflower wine. She likes it quite well. I've tried it. It's okay. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. Now, as for this plant over here, look at my background. I need something that's going to help decorate my background just a little bit. So other than that, pay no mind to it. Okay, to make our elderflower wine, we are going to be using the following. We're going to be using between 20 to 25 grams of dried elderflowers, which comes into about just under half a cup. We're going to be using up to 3 pounds, or about 3 pounds, in which case that works out to about 5.5 cups of sugar. Elderflowers are not sweet, so we're going to need to sweeten it with sugar. We're going to need the juice of 1 orange and the juice of 1 lemon. We're going to be using, in this case, a Red Star Premier Blanc wine yeast. If you don't have it, use whatever you got. We're going to be using a straining bag because at the end of primary fermentation, we've got to strain out all of these dried elderflowers. And I just as soon strain it now as opposed to straining it a week from now. We're going to be using up to 1 gallon of water, 1 gallon, 4 liters, something to do primary fermentation in. We need something to do secondary fermentation in because after a week in here, it's got to go here for the long haul. We need airlock with stopper and hydrometer. And before we do anything, we're going to start out by using Star Sands for sanitation. And that's what we're going to be using to start fermentation on our elderflower wine. All right, we've got our 1 gallon or 4 liters of water poured into the pot. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up to a boil. Cover that up. And while we're waiting, we might as well go ahead and put our dried elderflowers in a straining bag. Seems like there's an awful lot. It doesn't get strained out in that straining bag, but it's all for the good. Tie that off. Wait for our water to boil. All right. I think that's been boiling good enough. We can go ahead and turn off the heat. And we can take our 5.5 cups of sugar. We can go ahead and incorporate that. Go ahead and get that dissolved. And we can go ahead and add in our elderflowers. Let that begin to meld in there. Of course, I didn't want to create a little boat. I want to create a submarine. So let's get that down in there. Get this process going. All right, we're going to let this come down in temperature quite a bit before we move on to the next step. All right, our sweetened elderflower juice has now come down quite a bit in temperature. So we're going to go ahead and pour that into our primary fermenter, hopefully without spilling everything all over the table. Well, it was a little messy, but okay, it's good enough. Now all we have to do is add in our lemon juice and orange juice and the magic powder yeast. Ooh, juicy. Notice that it does help if the lemons have been previously frozen to break up those cell walls and release a lot more juice. Yeah, since they're both going in together, might as well do the orange as well. Did not freeze the orange, which is something I will probably do next time. Now, before adding the yeast, I wanted to take a hydrometer reading, and that looks like it's coming in at 1.102. I'm only adding a quarter of a teaspoon of yeast, and I just want to sprinkle it around. Like so. No need to stir it. And then from there, just put on the cap rather loosely. And let primary fermentation take its time to do what it needs to do for the next 5 to 7 days before we then rack it into secondary. This particular fermenter does have built-in airlock, so I don't have to worry about putting in an airlock, although it does come with one. And we just put this on the counter, someplace where it's pretty much out of direct sunlight for the next 7 days before we rack it. And give it another 6 months after that before we can do our 6-month tasting. And that is the process for doing elderflower wine.